We're live into Facebook too. So everybody, welcome. This is episode 2 of Bosses in Action. We've got Lee Adkins. And for those of you who don't know Lee, tell us a little bit about yourself, buddy.
I will. I get around pretty well. If you don't know me, then we should definitely connect. But my name is Lee Adkins. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been in Atlanta for a good while now. My background in real estate is that I got my license in '06, was an agent here. Knew there was more to real estate for me than being an agent. It was just always kind of on the radar. You just get your license first, right? That's the path to get in real estate. So in 2010, I joined up with a team as their operations manager here, had just really big success, just really focusing on just how do we do this? How do we train the agents? What are the steps? Was also really lucky to come into the loop with Follow Up Boss really early in that. And Follow Up Boss was a huge part of driving that success. And we'll get into some of that in just a little bit. I've also been a partner in an independent brokerage, and now I solely do consulting work focused on operational excellence for real estate teams and brokerages. So
I love it, dude. So before we start, if somebody wants to hire you, because you're going to show us a lot of cool stuff, where do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so that's really, really, really easy. The name of my business is Amplified Solutions. And so it's amplifiedsolutions.com. There's a ton of also free content and resources, as well as some Follow Up Boss courses and whatnot there. Or my email is lee@leeadkins.com. That's LEEAD as in dog, KINS.com. So not too hard to find. And of course on social, although I'm not real quick on social these days. So
I see you on there, buddy. I see you on there. Thanks for doing this. All right. Well, look, one of the things you help out people, and I just referred a couple of friends over to you to help the setup correctly. Tell us where we start.
Yeah. So, to me, it's all about stages. Stage is where is someone in the transaction. And so if we're looking for people to work with transacting, then the stage to me is always the first step in that. And I think right behind that are tags. Then if we have time today, I would think the next thing to that is probably smart lists is really that's, to me is kind of the order where we're at. So is it okay if I share my screen and we dig into some of that?
Do it, buddy. Do it. Let's start off.
Cool. Very good. So let me make sure I get into the right account here. So this is a demonstration account. This is purely the Follow Up Boss demo account. But what I thought I'd do today, if it makes sense, is let's actually do some of the work in this account. And hopefully that's relevant for people and they can see what we're talking about. Now, one quick point of clarity, this is only in the owner account. So if you're a member of a team or if you're otherwise, you may not have all these features. So these features are specific to the person who's the owner of the account. So what we want to do is you go here to admin and then stages. And so, literally 9 times out of 10, when I work with people, it's this 27, 29 people in the lead stage, a couple of people that are kind of organized. And then of course I click on the active client and the last email was from like 2 years ago. But, I think really getting these stages right is where it's at. And, people ask me all the time, like, well, what stages should I use? And as much as I know it's not a sexy answer, I really want to dig a little bit more on their business. Do you have a property man? Are you a brokerage? Are these independent agents? Is there a leads team within the brokerage? Do you have a property management division? Do you work new construction? Like these stages to me, as much as I'd love to give you the magical stages, I think they're tied into your business and your business model. So now that said, I'm going to give you what I would consider kind of the essence, the essential stages here while we do this. But I think it's really important to understand and think about the nuance of your business and, what kind of things that really make sense for you and for your agents. If it's just you can do whatever you want. If you've got 50 agents at your company and you're trying to get them to all do the same thing, that's obviously a different thing. So a couple of tips as far as this goes, and just in basics that it's funny. We had a session on Friday, and I was pretty proud that I showed something that both you and Barry did not know. See if I can do that again today. See if I can bring some knowledge. So I know you probably all know this, but for one, if you click on anything blue basically in Follow Boss, it drills down to those people. So let's just say that we, wanted to see all our lead people. You can just click on that button on the count there, and it'll bring you into everybody in your account who is connected to that. Now, of course, you can filter by stage to get to this, but that's a real easy way of getting to all those people if you just kind of want to check them at a glance. So for example, like if I want to click on active client here, I can see who are these people in active client. And again, like I said before, a lot of times you come in here and it's like, oh, this person closed 3 years ago. They're probably not an active client. So one quick tip, if you want to clean up old stages, which is something I see people stumble on a lot, if I was going to do that, I would click on all these people, I would add a tag, and I would make that tag be something to the effect of, old stage. Let's see if I can type old stage buyer. And so now I've tagged those people because I know people all the time are afraid to start deleting some of these things because they're like, oh no, well, what if those were our best people? Or what happens if I delete the stage and something crazy happens? So now we've all tagged them old stage buyer. So if we delete the stage, and then lo and behold, one of your agents come back 3 days later and is like, no, I kept all my best clients in nurture, then you've got some way to find them.
All right. I like that. So how do you differentiate? Because this is a common question at the very beginning, or maybe just people re-looking at their follow-up boss and saying, okay, let's do this right. How do you differentiate between stages and tags? What's that biggest difference that you think makes that?
Yeah, so to me, it's so important that a stage is where they're at transactionally. It is not to be confused with other things. It is lead or, nurture or active. I like those things for stages. It is where they're at in the process. And I like to explain it this way. If you have a past client, our hope is that they're going to come back and transact with us, right? So like, you want them to be able to move from lead to hot prospect to active to past client and then start all over again. And that said, one of the examples I think that makes sense for tags are things like tagging them the year that they closed.
See, the last time we talked, you said that, and that totally makes sense. I love
because
that.
Now you can send homestead exemptions, right? Like if it's when it comes to be February 2021, how are you going to find all your 2020 buyers? Well, you should have a tag.
Yeah, very true. So with stages, Lee, these are all the stages you've got, or these are all the stages you would set up?
Well, this is the Follow Boss demo account. So what I was going to do is actually work in this live and kind of show you guys what I think, what I would, if I was starting over right now, this is what I would probably do for stages.
Oh, I love it. Let's do that.
So lead is obviously you can't delete. Lead is what people come in as. That's great. I think you want to get people out of lead, but if we have time, we'll get into that later.
All right, cool.
Obviously, out prospect makes sense. I think, that hopefully you're going to have some people that come in and say, hey, we're ready to rock. Now, I like, Barry sometimes defines this. I like sometimes that he has like, this is less than 90 days or something like that. So if your brain thinks that way, you can absolutely rename these. You can even just say, you can name it less than 90 days if you really want to get crazy, but to help people understand what that means, right?
Yeah, true.
Nurture, I'm a fan of. I've been seeing a lot of people lately do a stage, and I probably stole this from somebody, so I don't want to take credit for this because I've seen it a fair amount, but I've been using it a lot, like an unresponsive stage. And so without jumping the gun too much, one of the things I've been doing with people a lot lately is actually creating an action plan to where when a new lead comes in, if they aren't converted, or if basically they haven't responded to anything after X number of days, we can now set something in that action plan that actually changes the stage to unresponsive if they don't connect with us after 14 days, 30 days, whatever that is.
So it goes automatic, right?
Right.
I love that.
And then the other thing is with automations or other various things, we can set, a long-term, in fact, to be honest with you, the Ylopo LCA drip is one of the best ones. It's more buyer side, but you can automatically apply an action plan to these unresponsive people. We spend all this time chasing all these leads. Well, meanwhile, we've got like 50 people in our database who probably want to talk to us. It's just, how do you figure out which 50?
Yeah, very true, man. I think that's the challenge, right? And that's why stages are there. So let's say you kept the lead one, obviously.
Yeah.
You changed up the hot prospect one to less than
Yeah.
90, right? You keep the nurture one because you have to know when to nurture. You could
Right.
even edit that, like you said, you could have it nurture
Right.
6 months to 9 months, nurture a year plus, right? Which you could get into that. But let's say we're done right here. What would be the next step you do after this? Because you talked about automation.
Yeah.
And I might want to see how you do that so people can understand what that looks like too.
Yeah, for sure. So, and before we go there, let me show one other quick tip. If you, and I have a video I can share out with everybody for this, but
Please.
if you just, click your mouse and drag through these stages here, once you have them right, you can just Command C or Control C copy them just like in any program.
Mhm.
But to me, it's really key and really important to, you can pop those into a Google Doc. And, this is where, to me, you want to define these a little bit more, right? So like lead means, new lead, unknown. You see how bad my typing is today. Unknown motivation. So we're now defining lead, because it's great in Follow Up Boss that we can create our own stages and all that. But we got to make sure, especially if you've got a company where there's more people involved, that you've got some definition around this. And I think just defining the idea that a new lead means we haven't gotten to them yet.
Yeah.
It changes us from a mindset of having 1,700 leads to having only a couple of leads, because our goal is to get them out of that stage. And if you've really got a ton of stages, you can actually paste them into a Google Sheet, and then you can use like a separate field for like keep or delete or whatnot. But I think getting these down on paper with definitions is something that I don't see a lot of people do, and I think is a real key to winning there.
On that, Lee, because I've done that actually, but I know that a lot of people do it differently because Follow Boss is so versatile.
Yeah.
I keep the stages that you pretty much see here, but when a lead comes through, and let's say it's a buyer, we work with a lot of buyers, online leads, and a buyer comes in and we talk to them, and now they're like, well, you know what, we're looking to purchase now, but haven't gotten pre-approved. To us, we've categorized it as a tag, right? A, B,
Right.
C, D, E.
Right.
Do you work with tags like that too for your buyers and sellers, or do you do something different?
So good question. I'm a fan of that. I think it again, I know people don't like this answer because it's not a sexy answer. I think it just comes down to your strategy. If you're running a big team with a ton of online leads, I think categorizing them in a simple way to push through that is great. If you have a team of 4 people and that's just kind of not your thing, then that's not your thing. But I am a fan of like that Buffini style, A or A plus, and categorizing them that way. But I would 100% agree that that is a tag, because that has nothing to do with them transacting. They could be an A plus referral.
That's
person,
true.
You
Yeah.
know, so they're not necessarily, it's not necessarily them. One more stage I just want to, before we click off this, I want to remember.
For your buyers and sellers, or do you? Sorry,
I'm not a fan of that. I like tags, and I like using potential seller and active seller. Because, and here's the reason, when you get into that, like, do you really need to have a different stage for buyer, seller and buyer? What if they close their listing before they actually do the buy? Like, it just, before you know it, you're going to have 50 stages. So
That's so true. All right. I like where you're going with this. So show me how that looks, because I love that you simplified it.
yeah, so in the name of kind of using this demo account to
Yep.
do the things we want it to do, so I would say someone like this would, where we would add a tag that would say, well, in this case, because it's in the buyer stage, let's just say active buyer.
Easy.
And so now you've got And, again, this is what I showed you guys on Friday. If you click on that tag, it's going to bring you everybody with that tag. So easy enough to hit active buyer. Now,
That was
only
a
two
hack.
because
I love that hack, by the way. I had no idea that you can click on the tags. I thought you could just rearrange them and make them and edit them.
Well, you don't need all these smart lists, right? That are just like one tag or whatever. That's the thing.
So let's stay with this really quick. On the
Okay.
active buyer, yeah, Kim said the same thing. I didn't know you could do that. Awesome. Yeah, I know. Kim, it blew our minds on Friday when I had Leon Lab Coat Agents. Barry and I were like, what? What did you
All
just
about eliminating clicks. The fewer clicks, the better.
Lee, on this active buyer, you mentioned earlier you have a Google Doc. How do you define an active buyer? Because I think that's what we miss as agents. We have to define what that means so that our team knows what the hell it means.
100%. No, and I think you would want to do this again here in the definition, and I would say, buyer with, signed buyer rep or buyer brokerage, whatever you call it, or seller with signed listing agreement.
Or we could make it simple to pre-qualified or pre-approved, right? Something along those lines too.
Yeah.
Whatever it looks like to you.
Right, exactly. Assuming they're ready to transact, because being pre-approved doesn't necessarily mean that they're ready to purchase either. So, but that could also be a tag, pre-approved buyer.
Yeah, that's true, man.
But I wouldn't make it a stage, because that's not a stage in a transaction. Being pre-approved is a prerequisite, but it's not a transactional phase,
You got it. So this one, active client, would be an actual stage, correct?
Yeah, yes, that's what I would recommend. And then I would do and maybe the pre-approval is a tag that goes along with the potential buyer.
Pre-approved, not
tag.
pre-approved.
Right.
Oh, dude, I'm digging that.
Because then you can filter through like, okay, who are my buyers who are pre-approved, who are not active clients? And then you got a list of all the people that are literally your best prospect. They're pre-approved and they haven't signed a buyer rep yet, or whatever that is.
I like that. So then let's go a little further down the line. How would it look like if you have these buyers that are coming through, but you talk to them and they're like 6 months out or a year out?
Yeah.
Do you start including tags at that point that look like that? Or what does that look like?
I think that's probably, I would personally, probably, again, depending on some of the context, I would probably put them on if you have an action plan that's good for that. Like, again, that Ylopo LCA plan is like so good. It's got the infographics. It's kind of like basic, like, here's what you need to know about a mortgage. Here's, don't go get a bunch of loans while you're thinking about buying a house. Like, it really kind of, it's informational, but it's so well done that it's not irrelevant, even if they've bought 10 times before.
Got it.
Well, but ultimately, honestly, I would probably just put a task that would say, like, in 3 months, call this dude.
Got it.
That to me is really what a task is for. It's a really specific time that you need to follow up with somebody. I'm not a fan of having a bunch of tasks and action plans.
Me either.
Because then people stop paying attention to them. Then you have 1,000 overdue tasks, and then they're all. That's what smart lists are for. Maybe that segues us into smart lists.
Let's do that, dude. I want to talk about smart lists. Tell me.
I meant to, if I had a spare minute before, I meant to actually install the Pixel somewhere so we could have some recent activity here. But to me, and obviously, if you're a Ylopo client, you're going to have some smart lists that are probably already set up here for you. But to me, just coming up with this basic criteria around, let's just create a smart list from zero for those who may not be real familiar. I want to clean out this.
Why don't you do that? A quick question in between though. Dolly has a question in the Facebook group. What stage do you give to vendors or realtors or lenders? Those are the people.
That's a great question. There's a couple of interesting options here. I work with somebody that actually uses a stage called contact. And they use it for basically anybody that should not get any marketing. And then within that, you can use a tag that's like agent, vendor, whatever that is. Been working with somebody recently, and I'm gonna have to circle back on how this works, but it seems to be working. We're actually using a pond for agents and vendors, because I don't want to get too advanced use here because we're kind of focused on the
Yeah,
nitty gritty.
Okay.
But a pond is basically a newer feature in Follow Up Boss where everybody in the team can potentially have access to see it.
Yeah.
But the upside to the pond is that it comes out of your lead count. So it's not screwing up your stages. It doesn't count in your leads or your smart lists.
That's true. That's true. All right. All right. Don't digress. Sorry about the
Yeah.
question. Let's go
So
back into what you're doing.
yeah, as far as building these smart lists, so obviously you can click here and pick which criteria, what columns you want to see here. Also, another quick tip, you can resize these and also move them around.
Yep.
Well, I don't know what that was thinking pretty hard.
Yeah.
So what I was gonna do, I can't get over to it. Let's see if I can. So I was gonna do source. So let's bring source up here a bit. So let's just say you wanted to find, let's just say, I have no idea what sources are in this demo. Just want to find all your Zillow leads that have a good phone number.
Okay.
Who are, who have been, in this case, let's just use this last visit.
Bring that over. Hey, did you know, Lee, that apparently you're a Zillow lead that came through May 20th?
Oh yeah, check that out. Somebody better follow up with that guy.
I don't know if he's serious though. Come on.
Yeah, he's not good for any of that.
Where
did it go? Where did my
on the left?
Too far.
Pass by it. Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
I knew it shouldn't have been that bad. And then you could say, whose last visit was less than, I don't know, 14 days ago.
Yeah. There you go.
So only one person in this particular account. But so what we've done here is pick all our Zillow leads that have a phone number who have been on the website. And we'll just
go to like 90 or something. There you go. 100.
Yeah, just get, there you go. This is the Follow Up Boss demo account. So there's not a lot of real data in here.
Well, one of the other things that we do now that you're on this section, Lee, is we also bring over when your CRM is connected to a website or an IDX like we have with Ylopo, we also bring over anything that's been favorited, right? As well, so that we can see, well, how serious are these people? Are they looking at homes? How many properties have they viewed? So I usually put those together.
Yeah. No, that's a great tip. So, it's not just the person who clicked on one email, went back to your site. It's someone who's actually active on the site.
You got it.
But, in this case, so now that we've drilled down to this criteria just here, we can just come up here and hit save list. So if this is something we want to access frequently, if we go hit save list, then, we can just say, recently, wow, these are actually Zillow leads. So we'll say, Zillow with phone with, I wouldn't name it this long, but.
Well, I'd be like, dude, this is the perfect opportunity to say, look, if you drag over those most favorited, the people that are favoriting properties, the people that have last visited, right? The people that are active, and you create a save list off of that. Every morning, you just click on that save list, whatever you call it. And now you know where to start. And I think that's the biggest challenge. Most people don't even know what to tell their agents. Hey, start here, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I love the idea. I don't think I coined this term, but I love the idea. If I did, I stole it from Barry, of what I call smart list zero. Let's get a smart list of 10 people, and let's use some sort of criteria as well in it, like last communication was more than 5 days or something like that.
Got it.
And so that way, when we communicate with them, when we log a call or when we send an email or send a text through this system, they come out of that list, and then they come back into it when it's been 5 days since we followed up with somebody who's recently been on the site.
Dude, I love that. And you know what I would call this list if it was like my money list? I'd call it the money bin, only because I love Uncle Scrooge from DuckTales.
That's totally the
money bin. Good. Let's go to the money bin. Boom.
I dig that. I'm gonna. Oh, it didn't even save here in the
list. Oh, good.
So
can you? I'm glad it didn't, Lee. Can you actually redo that really quick so people that weren't paying attention could actually see that?
I can. We got their attention with that, huh?
Yeah.
What managing the list or creating this list?
Just creating a quick list so people know how to do that.
Yeah. So basically, from anywhere here in the people screen, you want to make sure your filters are potentially cleaned out if you're trying to start fresh.
Mhm.
And then if you click on any of these headings, you can basically select various different criteria, include or don't include, phone number is good, last visit, when were they last updated, what stage are they, and any combination of those that you filter, you can just come up here and hit save list
Name it.
and then just name it. Now, one thing I know that I think I also stole this from Barry is naming them with a number, which can be really helpful to remember the order of them. Quick tip for those who are admins or team leads or owner accounts. I just learned this recently. If you rearrange the order of these, it is sadly not global. This does not change the order for your agents.
Got it. So it
So
just,
you can drag these around and reorder them.
all right, dude. I love that. There's a quick question. How do I make an automation to move a lead stage into an unresponsive stage after 30 days?
That's a great question.
I think that's
So
what we were leading into, which is perfect.
yeah, exactly. These people got sharp people in here. I like it.
Yeah.
So that's technically, while Follow Boss has an automation now, that technically is not an automation. It does what feels like an automation.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would do, and while we're in lead flow real quick, we'll take a quick look at this.
How
So
did
these,
you get here so people know where you're at?
yeah, so sorry. So admin, and then this is actually the default screen under here under lead flow is the first screen when you go to admin.
Cool.
So you're going to want to take a look and be really, really careful with this, but you want to take a look. This is where the action plans that are automatically applied when a new lead comes in live.
Got it.
So what I'm talking about now is when a new lead comes in, we want to have an action plan that applies to them, but we want the end of that action plan. And I'm just going to pick a random one, not that one we just looked at. But what I'm recommending here is that either when you build one or take an existing action plan is at the end, you just add a step that is change stage. And then you want to change the stage to say unresponsive.
Yeah, unresponsive.
Now bear this in mind though, this checkbox is very, very ultra important because this checkbox stops this action plan from running when the person is contacted. And contacted is defined by replying. I hope I don't get this wrong. I can follow up if I don't have it. It's by replying to an email or a text.
Okay.
The consumer replying to an email or a text, or a phone call longer than 5 minutes logged.
Got it.
That will stop this plan from happening. So in this case, you want this box checked because if you log a call longer than 5 minutes, you don't want them changing to unresponsive.
Unresponsive. Heck no. You're right.
But if you follow up and you do all the things you're supposed to do and they never engage, this is how you basically get them. Let's say in this particular case, let's just do, like on the 30th day. Because I want to reiterate, this is not a tool to just clean up the noise. We want you to make sure that your agents or you are following up with these people. But when it gets to the point of you have done the best that you can, this is much better than just letting them go into space or being, in a huge pile of leads that nothing happens to.
Perfect. All right. So let's say
one other tip while we're on this. Sorry, one other tip that I might mention is you can also add a tag here. And something I've done with some people is add a tag, say, let's just say you have a certain lead source, maybe like Zillow Flex leads that are coming over.
Mm-hmm.
Something I've worked with people to do is set up a tag that says Zillow Flex not converted. And so, because the same thing, if they get to this 30th day and they didn't come around, that can be a really handy tag to have if you have an ISA team or if you're going to continue to do some sort of follow-up with that group.
Yeah.
So another good tip is you can add a tag here after in this action plan as well.
I love it, dude. So with that, now let's say we just fixed it. You did the basic buyer drip.
Yeah.
Right? Now, as soon as they've gone unresponsive, you also want to start an email drip or some type of notification, some type of a nurture process. How do you do that automatically?
And so that would be an automation. So you could say, I want to add an automation that when the stage is changed to unresponsive.
Okay.
And you can add a condition. You can say if they don't have an email, or if whatever those conditions are, which I don't think we have any in this case.
Yep, we're all clean.
Then you're going to want to, let's pop them on the, I don't know if it's in this account. The LCA one's not in here, but
You can do the, I don't know. Do you have something that's like nurturing forever?
I don't think so. This is actually an old.
Well, you can go to the very bottom one that I created, just so people would be like, oh, okay, 20 touches.
Yeah, there you go.
So people have something to look at. So,
yeah. So now this will run in an ongoing way when the stage is changed.
Got it. All right. So taking people through that so people don't get lost. And also this is being recorded. It's going to be on our Follow Up Boss YouTube channel. So we'll have that up by the end of tomorrow. What Lee did, he went to lead flow, then action plan, then automations, right? If you want to
so this is just admin automations for this.
Yeah, that's how you ended it and changed it so that when people go to unresponsive as a stage, now you're creating what happens after that. So let me see what questions we have really quick.
And while you're doing that, let me throw in one more tip for this. If you're going to use these automations, I would recommend considering the first step of the action plan you use here to be pause all other action plans, just so you don't get people in like 5 different action plans running at the same time.
Yes, that's key. Which kind of goes into what Kristen's asking here. Can you add a step to switch them to a new action plan from the original action plan?
You know what? That's a great question. I thought you could, and I feel like I went to do it recently and you could not. So let's find out here in real time.
I love it.
You cannot. You can pause all others and you can pause a specific, but it does not look like you can add them to an action plan here. It's a great question, though.
I love that question, dude. All right. Well, look, we've only got about a minute left. Anything else you'd like to touch on? I feel like you and I could talk for a few hours, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff to go over, but I think if you're in a spot where you really want to kind of get the basics under control, which frankly, everybody, it's kind of the classic foundation thing. Focus on the stages, especially if you have a team or a brokerage, define them in writing. This means they are this, that, or the other. I do the same with your tags, tag potential buyer if they said they're a buyer, but you don't know, tag active client if they are, signed with you. And then ultimately just having, good smart lists, I think that's the first phase, right? There's a ton more stuff we can do, but that takes you from lead to talking to people who are the right people.
That's the key, man. Take some time to really indicate what these stages mean for you and your team so that it's clear to them, because that was one of our biggest challenges when starting off with Follow Up Boss and having our team have a true buy-in into the program. They needed to know what it all meant, or else they'd be lost, right? So you brought up the best point, Lee, and that's that. Have it in front of everybody so everybody knows what it stands for, right?
Right. It still might take 5 times for everybody to start to process it, but you should just lay it all out for them. You set them up for success.
Very true. And I've got a topic for our next talk here. Kim saying that she's fairly new to Follow Up Boss. First of all, congratulations, Kim. Thanks for joining us at Follow Up Boss. Can you give a brief overview of pixels? I think we can do like a whole session just on pixels and how we can use those now.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'll show you where to find it if we have just a quick second. So if you go to integrations and then pixel here, if you click on it, here's kind of an overview, which would be good to watch. The video gives you an overview too. Tracking is the actual code. So depending on your platform, we're definitely not getting into code, but you or your webmaster should paste this code into your site. Technically goes on every page and the header. We're not going there for all that. But then you can control here under call to action what happens. So does it display on mobile? And then you can also choose which of your Follow Up Boss phone numbers display in it. So it's pretty straight ahead, but go to integrations and then pixel and then check out these 3 headings. And that's the essence.
So much we can do on that one. Do you want to do that as our next one whenever we do it?
I mean, yeah, say the word, whatever is, maybe integrations. Maybe we go through
All
a
right.
couple of different
We'll go
integrations.
through integrations. I like that, dude. I
dig it.
really do. And we can we'll probably bring in Dan on that one too, just in case I miss anything.
Yeah, for sure. It's a
All right.
great idea.
I love that. All right. For everybody who missed the beginning of this, this is Lee Adkins, and he's got a great service that he offers. For those of you who don't know where to start or you want to reset up your follow-up boss, he can help you. And what's the name of that website, Lee?
So it's amplifiedsolutions.com. Quick tip. You can also just go to leeadkins.com and it goes to the same place.
Dude, you should have led with that, dude.
So sorry.
I love that. LeeAdkins.com. And obviously, we're with Follow Up Boss. Everybody here is using it. If you're not, jump on Follow Up Boss. Lee, thanks for the time, man. I appreciate
Thanks
this.
for having me.
I loved your layout and I love the focus. So
appreciate it. We'll keep doing it.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you again next week.
See y'all.
Thanks.